Hey, family, welcome into the Bennett Family Podcast. My name is Kelly. I'm your host. And today we are talking about Bennett family history. This is going to be a really exciting podcast. I want you to sit back, grab a pen and a notebook, or if you take your notes on a digital device, get that device ready because you could very well be participating before all this is over because there are a few gaps. There's some work left to be done on our history document, which you're going to see and hear us talk about today as well. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to learn, hopefully, some Bennett family history. Today, I'm going to have with me my aunt, Constance Ray. She serves as the current Bennett family reunion planning secretary, and she is a past chairman. And she also is very key and instrumental in putting together our history document and this history committee. One of the things I thought we would do is kind of start off with a segment or a story about the family. And this particular story is in relation to how the family reunion started. So let's talk that first, and then I'll welcome in my Aunt Connie, and we're going to jump into this entire document and other questions that's going to lead us into this podcast. So the Bennett family reunion started in 1973. So that's the first thing. A lot of folks don't really know how far back we go. This is actually year 53. We just celebrated year 52. So the family reunion started in 1973, and it was the realization of two passionate organizers. My dad, which is Carnell Bennett, and Miss Georgia Bennett. These were the first our reunion organizers. So the first reunion celebration was held the first weekend in August of 1973. It was held in the backyard of Preston and Maddie Bennett in their home there in Taylor's, and this worship service was held at St. Matthew. The reunion participants consisted of the direct descendants of Preston and Maddie, and the celebration was later joined by direct descendants of Arias and Bessie. Now, Preston and Arias were brothers. And of course, you've heard the story. I hope Preston and Arias married sisters, Maddie and Bessie. And all of these direct descendants currently, of course, are deceased. Now, the family lineage actually began with Barry and Barbina Bennett. These are parents of Preston and Arias Bennett. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, this was taken in on the 15th and the 16th of June, 1880. Barry and Barbina were inhabitants of Austin Township, County of Greenville, in South Carolina. And at that time, 1880, Barry was 55 and Barbina was 40. The records reflect that there were six children, and I'm going to name those in a few minutes, at the time of this particular census. And while there are some missing statistics, of course, in the census data, we know that Preston and Arise were born sometime after the census report of 1880. The official statistics reflect that Barry and Barbina did indeed live very humble life. Barry was a farmer, Barbina was a housekeeper, and Hovan or Jovan, Jovan, the oldest child, was a farm laborer. Now, here are the direct descendants of Barry and Barbina as we start our conversation today. There's William, there's Lily, Hiram, and Aunt Connie, we're going to talk about this pronunciation of this name, but I'm going to say Hovan at this point. You can correct me later on. Preston, Arias, Arthur, and Nancy. We're going to be talking family history today. I want to start off with a little story here to kind of get us going. And I'm going to introduce, or I'm going to let her introduce herself. This is my Aunt Connie, Constance Ray. Welcome into the Bennett Family Podcast.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about our family history. As Kelly has indicated, I'm Constance Ray, Constance Bennett Ray. Go by Connie. Everybody knows me by Connie. I am the youngest daughter of Marie and Julius. I am the granddaughter of Preston and Maddie, and of course, the great grandchild of Barry and Barbina.
Well, I tell you, we started this, and I don't know how far back this goes, so this can kind of be off jumping into this, but you and I started this discussion about organizing and pulling together documents and information and previous attempts of capturing family history. We started this about 2 or 3 years ago. Can you talk about what sort of first sparked, if not obvious, your interest in documenting this legacy, the Bennett family legacy, and wanting to share it in such a fashion?
Of course, I think my real interest in documenting family history probably started back in the early 80s when, it was a big effort of families tracing their family history. It was all about, the genealogy of family. And it was
Mm.
intriguing to me when people could trace, where their family came in, what ship they came in, on, and just where all of their family history, they were able to trace it. They were
Right,
they were going checking records, land records and court records, and they were going to the Census Bureau and everything they could possibly do to trace everything they could about their family.
right.
So I was just intrigued by that idea, and certainly I didn't have the time to do all of that background checking. But I did go to the Census Bureau
Hmm.
because that was recommended. You could at least do that to kind of get an idea of what your forefathers did and things like that. So the document that we have, and I actually went to the census, got this document of 1880
Hmm.
that for the census of 1880 that certainly originally documented. I think the census of 1870, I think the records were burned. So this is 1880. And so I brought this to the reunion. I see my sister dated this, the reunion of 1984. And everybody was just so intrigued about, oh my goodness, you were able to really go and find out something. We take the
Hmm.
census whenever they're due, but we don't think about going back to look to see what's really documented here. And so everybody was just so intrigued about this. So it was just so much unknown about the family.
Hmm.
Um,
So
you know, you
that's probably one of the older records that we have, right?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
yes. And so I haven't been back since then. Of course, they've had the census taken since then. I mean, it's a quite a lengthy process to get any information, but it was just so intriguing to family members that we were able to at least get this level of information about our family. And we just sort of branched off from there. But as I talked to people about various people, people didn't always remember who was related to who, or when people were born, or when they
Right.
died, or whatever. And so it was just clear to me that I had difficulty making connections of who was related to who. And my father's cousins and all had nicknames, so I didn't never know their real names until I was actually born. I didn't know Red and
Right.
Bobbit and some of the other ones until I was grown. I didn't act Po Man. I didn't know their real names until I actually started just kind of
Mhm.
documenting everything and putting it down on paper.
Well,
So
that's a good point. We're going to help some folks out today. We're going to help some folks out today, and we're going to show off the work that this committee has been doing, and we're going to go through some names because I think it's important that we know these folks, right? And I remember as a kid, and even as a young adult, I would often hear the story of Preston and Maddie and stuff like that. But I'm being honest, I'm not. It didn't really click with me. It didn't. Now I knew my grandparents, and that's from a just from a knowledge standpoint, that's really as far back as I was able to go logically. But when you start talking further than that, then I started having to see pictures and different things like that, and I couldn't, for some reason, retain it. So Preston and Maddie, and then Arias and Bessie were always just sort of reunion type of speak. You know what I mean? I would hear it coming at a reunion, and certainly Barry and Barbina were just beyond my understanding. So what we want to do today is I mentioned the descendants of Barry and Barbina, and listen, you don't have to commit this to memory. If you're looking at us on YouTube, you see a document before you, and I'm going to make this available to anyone who wants access. Now, if you've been at the recent reunions, you've seen this and you have access to it. But if you haven't, then this may be the first time you've seen it. So myself and I kind of been working on this for the last 2 or 3 years. And this is pretty much a culmination of that effort. Now, you'll see here to my left, there's a table of contents. It sort of tells you what's here in the document. But what I wanted to focus on real quickly was just the names. Let's just start off with kind of basically understanding the names of the actual descendants. So I went over Barry and Barbina already, but let's talk about the direct descendants of Preston and Maddie. And they're 14. I think when I was doing the podcast with Jamie, I said 10 and 14, and it's really 12 and 14. So Arias and Bessie had 12, and then Preston and Maddie had 14. So it gives you a feel of maybe how big our family actually is with these many kids. Okay. So let's start off on kind of, I'm going to start off with Preston and Maddie. I'm just kind of go through and Preston and Maddie are our line. So my grandfather is Julius Thomas Cleveland Bennett, and he is listed here. Does this mean he's the oldest the way we have this listed?
Yes, this
Okay.
is the order of
Oh,
the birth the birth order of the children.
yes. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through them really quickly so you guys can hear the name. So again, this is Preston and Maddie. They're 14. So it's Julius Thomas Cleveland Bennett. And then there's Henrietta Blanche Bennett Williams. There's Henry Hudson Bennett. There's Jesse Amanda Bennett. There's Susie Lee Bennett Young. There's Lou Ella Bennett Tennant, Tenant. There's Etna Viola Bennett Thomas. And then there's Dolly. So here's an example of where we can use your help if you know the full name for Dolly. So what we have at this point is Dolly. And I think, is this a nickname or is this just a name that she was called probably?
I think it was her actual name, but I believe she died at childbirth or very early, so that's why it's limited information about her.
Limited. Okay, okay. Dora Joan Bennett Bass, Robert Richard Bennett, Preston Asbury Bennett Jr., Eustace Edward Bennett, William Donald Bennett, and then Carrie Elizabeth Bennett. Okay, so that's Preston and Maddie's line. So those are 14, and maybe you don't know all 14, and now you do. Now you do. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to put a document like this together so that we have access, factual information. And if you're looking at this document on YouTube, you can see that we've got the dates of birth and the dates of death listed as we know from this particular document. Can you talk a little bit about what it took to kind of begin to put this together? I know there's a lot of some of this maybe you knew right offhand. Others, we had to maybe seek out and talk to some family members, pull some old. You talked about pulling those records, but you probably had to pull some pictures, pull some obituaries and different things like that, and just sort of start putting this together.
Oh, absolutely. So yes, some things, of course, like my father's birth date and date of death, I knew, but I certainly didn't know all of his sisters and brothers' date of birth and date of death.
Hmm.
But one thing that I also keep, are obituaries. This is Uncle Bill's. That was William Donald, because obituaries give you a lot of information. They give you the date of birth, they
Right.
give you date of death, and they give you surviving brothers and sisters. So a lot of it, I was able to go back to obituaries and capture significant information from obituaries. Other instances, I didn't have obituaries like Aunt Susie. I didn't have an obituary, so I'm like, Spencer, do you remember what year Aunt Susie died?
Mhm.
So it was, records that I may have had, or it maybe have been records of other family members. Not so easy on the Arias and Bessie side, but we really have a great partner. Kathy is partnering with us to capture information on the Arias and Bessie side. So you see some blanks there and some question marks, but we've since the reunion, we've been able to get some additional dates. So that document is a little more complete than what we're showing now. We just have to go in and annotate those dates. I just want to mention that.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And before we conclude today, we're going to talk about ways that anyone who has information can work with us to ensure that we get um, to I'm messing the screen up here, Connie. My apologies, but to work with us to ensure that we get the right information in the slots that it needs to go. And I'm going to go through the here we go. Arise and Bessie side here real quick. I just went
Right.
the Preston and Maddie, so let me pull that up real quick, guys. And here we go. All right. So we did the Preston and Maddie. So here is the Arise and Bessie side. So Arise and Bessie, we have the born. Um, Actually, we have a death date for Arise, but we have a born date for Bessie, and those are some gaps. So if you're looking at the document, you'll see the gaps are listed in red. And if you know any of this information, our contact information is going to be in the show notes, email address, phone number, etc. And you can feel free to reach out to us and share what you may know. Now, the
So
12.
Kelly,
Mhm,
excuse me, Kelly, can I just mention? So we do have the year, okay, it's annotated here for Urias, but we don't
mhm.
have like the month
The day.
or the day. We have the month that Bessie passed. It was September 1974, but we don't have the day. So if anybody has, any greater level of detail to fill in those gaps, that would be great. And
Yes.
we have a little more information regarding some of the family members, brothers and sisters children of Urias and Bessie. So again, some of those red lines have been information has been provided.
Okay. I'm going to run through real quickly so we can hear the names called out. So again, these are the children of Arias and Bessie, and they're 12. As William Bennett. Um, this indicates that he died as a child, so we don't have the dates here. So that's something that we're looking to ascertain as well. Frank Bennett, Homer Bennett. Homer is one that we have both the born and the
Hmm.
date, so that's good information. Uh,
And Frank, we know, was born in 1906, but that's the only information that's been provided.
for Frank,
So
okay,
yes, no month, no day, but 1906.
1906. Okay, we've got Bernice Bennett,
Bernice.
Bernice. You know, I have Bernice. Bernice Bennett, Robert Elliott Lee Bennett. We have Aileen Bennett.
Eileen.
Okay. Okay. And Noah Bennett, Beatrice Bennett Haygood. We have Hubert Bennett, Lemuel Bennett, Orias Jerry, also known as EJ Bennett. I actually heard that from Jamie the other day. Jamie mentioned EJ. That may be a junior or someone, I think. And then James E. Bennett, which of course is Jamie's name. So these are the direct descendants. These are the kids from Arias and Bessie. And the reason we're, going through this is because it's important. I Until I started working with you on this, I didn't know any of that. Now I knew my grandfather and maybe
Hmm.
one or two others, like Uncle Eustace and folks that I saw during my lifetime. But so many of them, I would see them and I not really know because I was a kid. I was a kid, and a lot of these folks have passed on when I was very young, so I didn't really capture names and faces and things like that until I got old. So a lot of that stuff has escaped me. So we're bringing it up today because we want to start a conversation. We want you to know what we're working on, number one, but number two, we want to start a conversation with you so that you can be part of this. Maybe there are some gaps that I can fill. Maybe there's some gaps you can fill. And if we can do it together, we can put together a whole puzzle. And that's kind of what this started out being. It's kind of like a little puzzle. We started off with what we knew. I kind of started with what she knew, and she built from there. And we just kind of keep it moving. One of the things I wanted to ask you though, because I found obviously a lot of this interesting. Is there a particular fact or something about the family that you learned during your research that was, maybe something very interesting to share?
Well, one of the things that I found interesting, I used to hear my father and Uncle Eustace and Aunt Jess and all of them, talk about Poe Man and Red and all, and
Mhm.
those were the only names that I knew. EJ, and I mean they, because they were their first cousins. I didn't know until we started working on this really what their names were. So Poe Man is Bernice, and I
Yeah.
think Red is Robert, and of course you just saw EJ is Elias Jerry. But I mean, it was how we use nicknames and not really know the actual birth names of people. But the other interesting fact that I found out was sometimes there wasn't a lot of clarity on people's birth dates,
Hmm.
and some family members had to search for church records or
Right.
um, other any record that would help identify their actual date of birth. So I just found that to be very interesting. And as people were dying off, other people didn't really know specifically,
Sure.
what the correct dates were or didn't have facts. So I just felt like if we could just document or put this down, then we have a document that shows
Yes.
as much information as we have available.
Exactly. How difficult is it? So let's say I'm a family member and I want to assist. How difficult is it for me to go to the census or go to my church or somewhere like that and begin to ascertain some of this information? How do I begin that process?
Well, with the Census Bureau, I haven't been there, since 1984, but you could just walk in, and they show you how to, review the records and
Mhm.
access. I don't know now if you have to make appointments to go in. As I mentioned earlier, I've never tried to search any land records or anything like that. We know the family originated in the Austin Township, County of Greenville. I've never looked at any documents in Greenville to see, what would be reflected there. But
Right.
again, if you have, um, I was just provided the birth certificate of Preston. So
Mhm.
if you have birth certificates of your family members or obituaries or anything that would provide us with information,
Right.
that would be extremely helpful. If you
Okay.
want to know more, I mean, there's a whole system of genealogy of tracing people's origins and things like that. I just never was able to pursue it to that level of that degree of research.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, and the reason I bring that up is because if you're listening, you're part of the family, you can participate in this research and discovery. And so, no matter where you live, you can get online, even if you're not in the Taylors and South Carolina area, you can still research your family. And we'll have some information in the show notes that can lead you to us in terms of helping you organize the information and get it to us. And the reason you want to get it to us is because this document that I was showing you here online, that is become the central point for us to archive this information. And each year, Aunt Connie and myself go through and we add and update. It sounds like we actually have some updates to do with the names and the dates of birth and things like that. So we'll go ahead and do that. But we do have other gaps. And as we go through, we can identify those and continue to lead our way through a more solid and concise archive. I'm going to bring the document back, and I just want to kind of let's kind of talk through it a little bit and just kind of share it with the family. Let's say they've not been to the family reunion and this is their first time seeing it. Let's kind of walk through it a little bit, if you will, and just kind of tell them how we put this together and what our thought process was in doing it. If not obvious, you start off with this really nice cover, which is we got to update. It's been 52 years, but that was because we did this last year. But we'll update it to say 53 because we're going into the 53rd year for our reunion. But these are just pictures that we between us had.
And Kelly, I just want to mention that these pictures on this document were like more like placeholders as we were developing the document because we didn't have a lot of pictures on the Urias and Bessie side. Now I've gotten some recently, so there are individual pictures of some of the children of Urias and Bessie. But again, if you have pictures of your family, we would love to have pictures so that we can have, you know, pictures of both sides, Arias and Bessie's side, as well as Preston and Maddie.
Yep.
This is primarily Preston and Maddie's side of the family here, but you do see the brothers and all of that are pictured here.
Right. Yeah. And what we did, we talked about there's some history, of course. I read your story of the Barry and Barbina as we were coming in. Then, of course, we've gone through the direct descendants and their kids. We got into organize and the organizers for the reunion and specifics on committee work and things like that. So this document has a lot of rich history. And from correct me if I'm wrong, but we pretty much have it all the way back to 73. We've got every chairman, we've got most, if not all, of the committee members. We even captured themes and different things like that. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about your desire to want to grab all this information and put it in one place?
So I certainly wanted to list all of the officers, and the way I did that is at one point in the reunion, I guess it was the late '70s. I started keeping the reunion programs.
Hmm.
The oldest one I have is back to 1978. If you have a reunion program back further than that, please let us know so that. But that I found that kind of interesting too. I was asking people, "Well, do you have the reunion program?" And it was
Right.
amazing to me that not many people kept the
Yep.
reunion program every year. So this is a historical document. So I invite you to do that.
Mhm.
I don't remember what year is certainly reflected here. Aunt Georgia was really innovative and creative about many things, as well as the other reunion officers about how to do things each year. These are the officers, and then we started doing reunion themes. So I just thought it was important because the themes were meaningful to me, and every year was something different. So we were focused. We had a different focus each year of the reunion of something that unified the family in some way. So again, you may see names here like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that EJ was the treasurer. I didn't realize,
Yeah.
you know. So I hope that you find it amazing. And then Aunt Georgie served as chairperson for quite a while, and then
Hmm.
she became the advisor for many years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really incredible once you get the information down and just kind of go back and take a look at it. Um, because so many people have served the family over the years, and this is a way of showing appreciation, not only just capturing the information, but showing appreciation to those family members who made, who's gotten us to this point. We're talking 50 and 51 and 53, but there had to be a 21 and a 15 and a 13, and you can look at this document and tell who was doing what even in those days.
Yeah. And it also reflects that the reunion has moved out of South Carolina a couple of times. So all of that information is reflected also. So if you were like, okay, what year did we go to Maryland?
Yep.
Certainly that's reflected.
Yep.
We went to Maryland in 2000.
2000. Okay. I really like the way this is laid out. Here are the reunion themes that we talked about. Um, all the way back until 1987, the 14th annual reunion, Aunt Connie was able to capture the theming that she was just talking about of the reunion. And that takes us up until present day. We've got all that stuff listed here. One of the things that I thought was such a monumental thing to have was a 50th. And we have the 50th family reunion photo, which is a very special photo in this document as well. 50 years is a big accomplishment. Dignitaries over the years are also listed in this document. We have had many dignitaries to visit with us, some year after year, to come and be with us during this time. And we get into things like the family crest. The family crest is history, what it means, who created it. All of that is in this document. And maybe you didn't even know that your family had a crest, but we do. We do. We do. And actually, kind of, I saw you and one other person wear their shirt with the crest on it at this past year's family reunion. Was there anyone else besides you and Dati?
I didn't see anyone else, and I don't know what year we got those T-shirts. I think was it the year the reunion was held in Atlanta?
It was. I was the chairperson, and I want to say it was, well, according to this, it's 2009. So I think I started in 2006 or seven. So it must have been the second time around we came to Atlanta. We got these shirts and we created the crest. I want to say that's correct. And
Okay.
it's held in there. So yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I still have my shirt.
Yeah.
Still have my shirt.
So this is our document. This is our archive. This is where we're housing all of our information, family. And we're very proud of the work that we put in so far. We know that there is a lot of work to do. Connie, what are some next steps? And then I've kind of generally gone over, but what are some things that we were going to ask people for some information today? What are some things that folks can help us contribute?
Well, certainly, if there's any additional information beyond what we have, you saw that we could only trace things back to 1987. So if you have a program that's earlier than 1987, um, or any themes or any information that we didn't capture,
Right.
and we were trying to find the significant points of the reunion. Like one year, the children's choir had robes. Dottie made all of the robes for the choir. I
Mhm.
know one year we buried a um,
Time capsule.
time capsule.
Hmm.
Uh, I didn't remember when we dug the time capsule back up. I don't remember what year we buried it. So things like that. I remember we did it, but I don't remember the year. So if you remember when we buried the capsule, the
Hmm.
significance of the capsule, and when we dug the capsule up, there may be other things about the reunion that you remember. I was just looking at the program of 1978, and it was like, oh, we had reunion for 3 days. We had Saturday, we had Sunday, and then Monday we had a picnic for the children, and our family meeting was on Mondays. I was like, I didn't remember that. I really
Oh
didn't
man.
remember that. So I found that to be intriguing. And then we went to the Phyllis Wheatley Center,
Hmm.
and I don't know if Unity Park is where Phyllis Wheatley used to be. I don't believe it is, but it's like these are centers that don't even exist anymore that
Yeah.
we went to.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that is interesting because we did used to always have a Monday for the kids because we went skating.
yes,
We would always go skating on Mondays. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's,
So this program in 1978, Saturday we had the picnic at Juice and Marie's house. We
hmm.
went to church on Sunday. We had the family dinner at the at Maddie and Preston's, the late home place of late Maddie and Preston. And then Monday we had a picnic for the children at Cleveland Park. We had a family meeting and happy hour at Aunt Flavie's house.
Oh, okay.
And then we had a disco and meeting for the grandchildren at 7:30. They had disco at 8:30 at the Phyllis Wheatley Center. So I was like, wow, I don't think I remember all of
That
those
was a lot.
activities. Yeah,
That sounds
yeah.
like Aunt Georgia was the chairman
I'm sure she was. And
there.
so the same in 1979, we had 3-day activity. We had the skating party for the children at Wade Hampton roller drone.
Hmm.
I found it interesting that we had the family picnic at Nanny Mae's house, and we went to the park. I was looking through several of the programs, but we
Hmm.
went to the park in Taylor. So just really interesting. And so it may be, one year we'll kind of have these older programs available for the people to kind of look at and see what we did in the past. But again, all of these are artifacts of the reunion. So you may have other pieces of information that I don't have that you would like to share or make copies of, or even maybe we'll come up with a display at some point of things from the reunion that you remember. I know we used to, for dinner, we used to have little tickets. So I have a couple of little green tickets.
Yes.
That
Oh,
was your entry pass to get to get in the dinner.
right.
Things like that. And we have different little programs that we did on Sundays, and we have just also we have a direct we did directories a couple of years.
Hmm.
We have several directories that we've done. So we've just had a whole gamut of different things that we've done over the years. And so we're trying to further expand the information regarding the families. You've seen tonight that we've shown you the beginning, the Berry and Barbina's descendants, and
Hmm.
then of course Arias and Bessie and Preston and Meredith's descendants,
Hmm.
those children. So we're trying to get now the children of those children, and we hope to have something kind of special for you this year at the reunion where everybody can participate. I think Jamie kind of introduced it a little bit on the
Yeah.
last podcast. He talked about, I think we call it the family parade, but we're still working on it. We haven't refined it with all of the rules of engagement yet. But
Hmm.
what we're hoping is that each family descendant, the family of the descendant, would just portray their family. You can make T-shirts, you can make posters, you can make whatever, however you want to show your family off. So we would be representing the family of Julius. So it should be a whole bunch of us because it's
Right.
10 of us and a whole bunch of grandchildren and great grandchildren. And I don't think there are any great grands yet,
Yeah.
but I have to think. So we have yes, we do have some
Yeah.
great
Yeah. I think.
great grands. I think
Hmm.
about four great. So we hope to have as many people as possible there to
Hmm.
represent Julius next year at the family reunion. So we encourage you to
Yeah.
start talking to your family members now, encouraging them to come to the reunion, encouraging them to come up with creative ways of how you want to portray your direct descendant. And so we just hope that it will be a fun activity. But
Yeah.
certainly, we want to invite all of you to come to the reunion.
And it sounds even more exciting each time I hear you or Jamie talk about it. I think it's such a great way to encourage people to one, to participate, but two, to really hone in on that line because some of the lines are more represented than others, needless to say. And we want representation from every single line, if at all possible. If there are folks out there from all of those lines, we want you guys. You are, always welcome to be a part of this family reunion. Every time we do a podcast, even if we don't say it, if I don't say it verbally, it's always in an effort to engage folks who are not engaged. If you're coming, great. Thank you for the support. If you're not, you are absolutely always welcome to come. And one of the things that we do at the reunion, and I kind of talk about this because this year was especially nice. The table that we have up front with the pictures, and I don't know, we had some programs, but there certainly were a lot of historic pictures and different things. And I saw obviously you and Pam putting some things together. Then I saw Dottie bring some stuff. So we ended up with, there was a time where it was just the family was just walking around that table looking at pictures.
So every year there's a memory table, and people are encouraged to bring pictures of their family, their direct descendants.
Hmm.
Um, and so this year we decided to put it out on Saturday. We typically do it on Sundays. We've had the candle memorial kind of memorial
Right.
portion of the service, candle lighting, and all of that. So
Mhm.
we've always had a memorial table, but we decided this year to do it on Saturday. And I think it was just the right place to have it. People were
Mhm.
really kind of hovering over the table, just looking at the pictures and
Mhm.
reminiscing and just making connections. Oh, I remember when. So we
Yeah.
encourage you to come and also make sure we have pictures of your family member.
Mhm.
Even if you don't come, make sure we have a picture and we know who it is and
Yeah.
we know who the lineage is, because I think to me that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Um, you know, there's a lot of us. So sometimes I go to the reunion and I'm like, I don't really know whose child that is. I don't, because there are little children. I mean, we got grandchildren, and
Right.
I don't always make the connection. So we're really trying really, really hard to make those connections.
Mhm.
My children, and my niece who came this year was asking, so tell me again, how are we related
Mhm.
to Barbara? How are we related? So
Yeah,
we that's the goal of all of this, is so that you have a good understanding of how you related to
yeah.
all of this huge Bennett family.
Yeah. This history committee is important for a number of reasons. And for the same reason, the reunion is important, is because one, we are capturing and appreciating our history, but also we're preparing for future generations as well. So it's a two-pronged sort of situation. As we come together, we're always making sure that we have our as many of our family members together as possible. That's the whole point of the reunion. Have as much information as possible so we can empower the younger folks to move forward and so they know exactly who they are. And we don't want to lose visibility to that. I will tell you this, in my lifetime, I have seen, and if you come to the reunion and you go to church to St. Matthew, you can appreciate this. I have seen that front row change hands. And that's a sobering thing because I'm now closer to the front row. Before I was a little kid and I could see Uncle Houston, my grandfather, and my grandmother, and Aunt Jessie, and Aunt Carrie. I remember where everybody used to sit. And I just remember it. And now they're all not there. And it's kind of like the whole pew set kind of had to shift down and my aunts and uncles are sitting there now instead of my, great aunts or great uncles, etc. And so at some point, we'll shift again. And it's important before these shifts happen that we have in context our history in place so that we can pass it along. And that's really what this committee is about. It's about
Mhm.
capturing this information. It's about protecting this information for the family and making sure that it's in the hands of the family so that we just always know who we are. It's important that you know who you are. I will tell you now, it didn't happen with the Bennett family. This happened on my mom's side, but it's an example of how unempowered you can be if you don't know. Unfortunately, we had two sets of cousins who had kids, and they were in the same classroom, and they didn't know each other. They didn't know each other because they had not spent any time around each other. They were related, and they had been in class. They were like in the, I don't know, eighth grade or something, but the whole year, and they never knew each other. And I thought, man, we gotta do better than that. We have to do better than that. So, Jamie and I were talking the other day about the power of fraternity and networks and sororities and things like that. And our family is just as powerful if we're using the networks the way that it's intended to be. There's no reason why you should come to Atlanta and not reach out to me. There's no reason why I go to Maryland and not reach out to my family that's there. Because why? Because we're family and we're there and we're there. So let's do this, Aunt Connie, because as I knew we would, we're talking long into this, and this is just one installation. We're going to come back a couple different times and talk to you a little bit more about the progress we're making on the history book, if you will, but also just to share stories, because even if you don't come to reunion, maybe you like listening to this podcast, and this podcast can be a way for us to encourage you to actually come, but number two, to educate you about your family. So let's do this. Um, I as I was going through this, I sort of tested myself to go back in terms of memory. I was having a conversation. I was trying to make this story short. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and unfortunately, she lost her son. Young guy. He's 21 years old, and she was telling me that part of her life was spent trying to ensure that her kids had memories. Okay. She wanted to go places and do things because she wanted her kids to have memories. And I started thinking about how important memories are. I have memories of Cleveland Park with, hey, don't go getting in all that water. Braylon and Brandon, take off. We all running down to the water. We ain't even shirts not even off yet. I have memories of being at Aunt Jessie's house and finding the football and Kent Jr. and Fred's boys and we're all I have those memories and I try to test myself like how far back do I recall? I remember when Fred would come around and drive us. I don't know where the other adults were, but we were riding on that motorcycle with Fred with no helmet. And, and so I have all that stuff. I wanted to get from you, like, what are some of your memories and some of your earlier fun memories? And was it in that same yard? Because going through this, I'm thinking that was Preston and Maddie's place, right? Where Aunt Jessie and Aunt.
Yeah, yes. And we would love to document those stories. I mean, you know,
Well, I'll tell you what. I remember coming back from that ride with Fred, and my hair was standing on end. And as an adult person, I'm thinking, I don't know where the other parents were. The kids were just lined up. We were riding on the back of that motorcycle one by one by one, and I'm sure it wasn't as fast as I thought it was when I was a kid. But I have those memories of going in and out of Aunt Jessie's house, getting stuff to eat, and then heading up that hill and playing and all these sorts of things. And you want your kids to have the same thing. Now, what's happened over the years? Well, we got all this technology, people move away, et cetera, et cetera. People are have a little less sense of urgency, let's say, with getting together. We want to encourage you to still find value in putting your hands on your family and being able to hug someone's neck. I thought once we came through COVID, quite honestly, that we would be reinvigorated to get together again. And I think to some degree we're seeing that. And I want us to kind of keep that up. I want the family also to hear our cry from the history committee, if you will, that this information is important. And there needs to be a sense of urgency around it. Why? Because if you're the last person and you have this information, and God forbid we don't get it from you and something takes place, then not information is gone, and we don't want that to happen. So if you value what we're trying to do here and you have some information to share, please reach out to us. Uh, Connie, if you want to open the doors of the church for folks who want to come and be a member of this committee, you can do that at this time because really it's you and I,
and Kathy.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. And Kathy's our newer member, but anyone if you're in the Bennett family, you are eligible to participate.
absolutely, absolutely. We would invite you again. This was just we just had this thought one day. Hey, let's just try to see if we can put something together and put it all in one place. That was the goal. Put all of this information in one place. This is not on a public site anywhere, anything like this. This is us trying to create a document with everything in one place. So, 10 years from now, you still can go pick it up and you can say, oh, okay. This is valuable. I didn't realize that, you know, Barry was born in 18, whatever the case may have been. So
Mhm.
again, we invite anyone, we welcome anyone, especially from the Urias and Bessie side, because I just don't have a lot of information because I don't know a lot. I was number 10 of the Julius tribe. So, and a lot of, and I find it interesting that we just don't remember after so many years,
Yeah.
we don't remember specific facts about things. So that's why it's so important to capture these facts, capture your testimonials and your stories about things that you did at the reunion, and so that it would be and this is a living document. We can always update it at any time. So feel free if you don't want to be on the committee and you want to provide input. Otherwise, we welcome anything that you're willing to provide to us.
What one of the pieces of feedback that we received, both of us work as part of the reunion planning committee, just so you know. One of the pieces of feedback that we received from the last reunion, people were really excited to see uh, uh, we had an AV set up in the Unity Park area there, and we were able to show old footage of other reunions. And some people hadn't seen it at all. Some people haven't seen it in years. And we're archiving that, and that's going to be part of the family history too. And so we've got that audio visual portion, and we have this written document, if you will, to kind of couple it together. But the video and VHS, all that stuff was really just 80s and up, didn't really go much further back than that. So further back from the 80s, we still are relying upon word of mouth, and that's important. So that's where you come in. But moving forward, In the 90s and moving forward, we've got really good video and we've got social media and we've got our Facebook site, which a lot of you are a part of, and you share different memories there. And actually, on kind of now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably a place we can go and start capturing some stuff, more current stuff, because graduation type stuff, I've seen you guys post that out there, and births and weddings and things like that that need to be a part of this document as well. We're just trying to start as far back as the beginning as we possibly can and then move up. We know you guys are keeping really good records because everybody's recording everything these days. But back then, it wasn't that way. So we're starting at the beginning and we're asking for your help. And if you can help us, please reach out to us. We're just going to close out. I just want to kind of get your sense and your vision for this committee for the next 3, 5, 10 years. I don't think this document is ever going to be done, of course, because the family's going to keep going. But what's your vision as we move forward? And then any closing thoughts you may have.
My vision is just really simple. It's to continue expanding information as it becomes available. As I mentioned, we have the direct descendants, and so now I want to expand that. So, who are the children of those direct descendants, and who are the children of the children of the children? So,
Mhm.
to go to document as much as possible. We hope to work on that a little bit this year, but we're gonna need help because I only know the Julius side. I don't know everybody, and I don't know. So we really need help expanding that. But again, and there may be some other creative ways of documenting information. I mean, if we got some creators of information, this is just our basic document to start with. So if you're creative and you have some other ideas of how to portray stuff, we welcome that.
Yeah.
So really, is to expand it to the greatest degree possible is really my vision.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of how this podcast was birthed as we kind of close out. If you think about what we're trying to do and then how we're presenting it to you today, this podcast is recorded. You're listening to it. It's being archived, and this can be passed on to your kids and to their kids. And in that sense, we are recording our history as we are sort of creating it. So be a part of it, and we thank you in advance for listening. It's always important that you help us share this information. Now, what do I mean? You're listening to this podcast. You could be on YouTube or you could be on the podcast platform. Maybe your brother or sister doesn't know that their family even has a podcast, or your cousin, or your mom. Maybe your mom doesn't even know what a podcast is. Send her the link. Send your dad, whoever it is, send it out. If they're part of the Bennett family, send them a link to this podcast so that they can hear what's going on for the family. Now, we're always centered on the reunion because that's kind of been our center point. So again, you are completely welcome to come first weekend in August every year. You're going to hear more about planning as we move along. But today we've concentrated on the history, and this is a big part, if not the biggest part, of what we do around this family. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you sharing and making sure that other family members are aware of what we're doing. And we'll be back soon. I don't know what the next topic is going to be, but it's going to be a good one. Thank you so much, Aunt Connie, for being with us today. And we will talk again soon. Thank you.
Good night, family.